and Android.
Now at 5, the Jasper Fire Protection District asks voters to approve a tax increase. Why officials say it's crucial for staffing. Plus, students from 16 counties gather at Missouri Southern for a science fair, and
the Trump administration is facing backlash after sensitive military operations were disclosed on a messaging app. I'm Erica Brown on Capitol Hill with reaction to the security.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
A medical emergency puts a Joplin firefighter in the hospital. This is KOAM News at 5. I'm Dow Quick. Happened today during scheduled training exercises at the Joplin Public Safety Training Center. This is file video of that center. Authorities are not yet releasing details, including the name of the firefighter, but they say fellow firefighters provided immediate assistance on the scene. At last report, the firefighter was in the hospital listed in critical but stable condition. Look for updates on KOAMnewsnow.com. Some people in southwest Missouri will have to decide whether they're willing to pay more for fire protection. The Jasper Fire Protection District is asking voters to approve a tax increase on April 8th. It would be the first tax rate increase for the district since 2015. If passed, the increase would raise the tax rate by 30 cents per $100 of assessed property valuation, bringing the total to about 59 cents per $100. Fire district staff say if approved, all funds from the increase would go to fund staffing, something a grant covered until the end of last year.
We really hated to ask for this and still don't really want to ask for it, but we really have no choice. We've reached a breaking point to where there's just no other choice that we can come up with.
The district responds to both Barton and Jasper counties, so voters in both counties will see the question on their ballots April 8th. Miami, Oklahoma has a new police chief. The city announced today it's hired a 30-year career law enforcement professional, Stephen Sigmund, for the job. Sigmund is a native Oklahoman and most recently served in a number of positions with the St. Lucie County, Florida Sheriff's Office. Captain Todd Hicks had been the interim Miami police chief since the resignation of Thomas Hightower Anderson in November. Missouri Southern hosts its 36th annual regional science fair. The fair consisted of middle and high school students from more than 16 Missouri and Kansas counties. Students wrote formal research papers on their favorite science subjects and presented their projects to a select panel.
Did Potter's propagation and plastic bottles versus glass jars. Because plastic bottles can contain microplastics and nanoplastics that have harmful heavy metals and chemicals in them.
Seniors who entered the competition are eligible for the state competition on April 11th at the University of Central Missouri. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Doug Heddy now for a first look at the weather.
Well, it's turned out to be a nice Tuesday for us today, and we're going to continue with the really mild temperatures as we go through the rest of the week. We are going to get a few showers in here on Thursday, and then maybe some thunderstorms Saturday night into Sunday. A few of those could be a little bit on the stronger side. Looking outside right now, 68, 67 in Pittsburgh, but overall looks pretty good. Most of us mid to upper 60s to lower 70s once you get out across Oklahoma, parts of Kansas. Through the evening, pretty nice evening. Slide back through the 60s into the 50s, upper 40s later on tonight. We do have a few little clouds kind of skirting through. We've had a couple little sprinkles that have kind of worked through over the past couple hours. But again, on Wednesday, we look pretty good as well. Temperatures are going to shoot right back up into the mid 70s for highs. We're going to look at that here in a bit.
President Trump is backing up his national security team after inadvertently leaking details of a military strike to a journalist on the messaging app Signal. But some lawmakers are demanding answers. Erica Brown has more details from Capitol Hill.
incredible people.
President Trump says he stands behind his national security team after sensitive details of a U.S. bombing attack on Houthi rebels were discussed on the messaging app Signal in a text chain that included a reporter.
We have an amazing group. Our national security now is stronger than it's ever been.
Jeffrey Goldberg, the editor-in-chief of The Atlantic, was inadvertently included in the group chat.
I've never seen anything like this. I've never heard of anything quite like this.
Goldberg said military operations and their timing were discussed and said Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth shared sensitive operational details, including information about targets, weapons, and attack sequencing. Waltz defended his team's use of the Signal app and tried to point the finger back at Goldberg.
This one in particular, I've never met, don't know, never communicated with, and we are looking into and reviewing how the heck he got into this room.
On Capitol Hill, reaction appears split mostly along party lines, with Democrats sharply criticizing the leak and Republicans downplaying the significance.
Look, mistakes happen. If it was a mistake, it is what it is, and it won't happen again. I know that.
Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard and CIA Director John Ratcliffe were on the text chain and were already scheduled to testify at a hearing Tuesday, where Democrats demanded answers about whether classified material was shared.
I'm not going to get into the specifics.
Why aren't you going to get into the specifics? Is it because it's all classified?
Because this is currently under review by the National Security
Because
Council.
it's all classified? If it's not classified, share the text now.
The president says no classified material was included in the texts. Erica Brown, CBS News, Capitol Hill.
Senator Roger Wicker, the Republican chairman of the Senate Armed Services Committee, told CBS News his committee is, quote, considering our options as to whether hearings are needed to look into the matter. Still ahead, the struggle to get enough Z's.
This National Sleep Month, I'm Michael George with the common sleep disorder that's left untreated for many Americans.
Plus, 4-staters get some tips for battling diabetes. Those stories next in Health Watch. Topping today's Health Watch, diabetes awareness was the focus of a gathering at Joplin's Freeman Business Center today. The Freeman Diabetes Coordinator presented information about how to cook for 1 or 2 people. She also gave Freeman Advantage members tips for healthier meal planning and making good choices when grocery shopping.
So what we focus on with diabetes is on the total carbohydrates, because actually all those carbohydrates turn to glucose in the body and raise blood sugar. So we do care about sugar because it tends to add carbohydrates to our product, but we just focus on looking at total carbohydrates. If it does have a little sugar, it's okay. You can still eat it.
This presentation was in recognition of Diabetes Alert Day and National Kidney Month. Many of us have been there, the painful burning sensation after eating. GERD, short for gastroesophageal reflux disease, is best known as acid reflux. It's a chronic condition that affects about 20% of Americans. The most common culprits are caffeine, alcohol, and fatty foods. When the acid bubbles up, symptoms can include heartburn, asthma, cough, and chest pain. So when should a person be concerned?
But bottom line here, talk to your healthcare provider. This is tricky to know when to get an upper endoscopy, when you actually look to see what's going on. It can be some serious stuff, or most commonly, it's something that can be treated with medication, diet, and weight loss.
To prevent acid reflux triggers, avoid trigger foods like chocolate, mint, and spicy food. Don't eat in the hours leading up to bedtime. Take antacid medication and elevate your head in bed. Another cause of GERD, weight loss medications that can delay stomach emptying and lead to acid buildup. A healthier diet in middle age can extend your life. A study by Harvard found people in their 40s, 50s, and 60s who had a diet high in plant-based food but low in animal-based and ultra-processed foods had a greater chance of making it to age 70 without any chronic diseases. People who ate processed meat and sugary drinks, they had a lower chance of healthy aging. Breastfeeding a baby for more than 6 months can reduce the chances of developmental delays. A study published in JAMA showed children who were breastfed for at least 6 months had fewer delays in developing language skills, social skills, and motor skills than children who had less than 6 months of breastfeeding. This National Sleep Month, a new survey reveals many Americans suffer from sleep apnea and aren't getting the treatment they need. Michael George has more on this common disorder.
Thomas Dewey has been snoring for 20 years. The 59-year-old tried a dental device and nose strips. A few months ago, his wife told him it was getting worse.
My wife started saying, "You're scaring me. I want to wake you up because you're struggling to breathe."
Thomas, who's recently retired and very active, also noticed he was feeling tired.
I started feeling a bit tired during the day. I'm a very active guy. I'm rehabbing my house in Florida. I have no reason to feel sleepy during the day.
A sleep test reveals he suffers from sleep apnea. New research from the National Sleep Foundation finds while nearly 90% of Americans say it's a serious condition to be treated, nearly 1/3 diagnosed are not currently being treated.
You're at increased risk for cardiovascular events, metabolic disorders, cognitive dysfunction, emotional and mental health problems.
The report estimates about 30 million Americans suspect they have sleep apnea and have not been diagnosed. And while most of the population knows CPAP is a frontline treatment option, they aren't aware of other options.
Things like lifestyle changes, diet, drinking behavior, smoking, exercise, surgical options, implantable medical devices. There are mandibular advancement devices.
Thomas is looking forward to when his CPAP machine arrives.
Waking up not tired, waking up refreshed, not feeling sleepy during the day.
He's glad he listened to his wife so everyone can start sleeping better. Michael George, CBS News.
The report also shows only 1 in 4 Americans can identify health consequences of untreated sleep apnea. Preventable deaths in the U.S. are on the rise. A study published in JAMA looked at preventable and treatable health problems and found that life expectancy in the U.S. is dropping. At the same time, health is improving in Europe and other first world countries. The U.S. also spends more than any other country on health care. And that is a look at today's health news. A little bit later, America's infrastructure gets a poor grade as families of crash victims push for change.
Plus, our nice temperatures stick around. We're also tracking chances for rain. We're going to look at that coming up. Well, it turned out to be another beautiful day for us today. A lot of clouds, had a few little sprinkles, but temperature is pretty good across the region. That's what we're seeing out there for us right now. Great shot of our Indigo Sky Casino and Resort just outside of Seneca, Missouri, but you can see a lot of those mid and upper level clouds across the region. All right, 68 in Stockton, 68 in Neosho, Cassville, 71, Bella Vista, Oswego, 71, and Yates Center, Veneta is sitting at 74 degrees. Here's 7th, here's Rangeline sitting at 68. Had those northwesterly winds are light. Visibility is looking pretty good. As we go through the evening, 60s, 50s, eventually we'll drop down into the upper 40s later on tonight. But you can see those clouds kind of working through, and underneath the clouds, we've had a few random little showers, couple little sprinkles, not a big deal. We still have a couple storm systems out toward the west. Look at this huge ridge. We're going to get one that kind of undercuts the ridge, giving us a few showers, trying to work in once we get into Thursday morning. All right, let's go through time. As we go through the evening hours into tomorrow morning, we're going to start into the upper 40s, very similar to what we saw today. Still kind of in and out of the clouds for us tomorrow. By the noon hour, we should be mid to upper 60s. Let's go into the afternoon about our high temperature time. Here's 4:30 p.m. Most of us 73, 74, or 75 degrees. The winds are going to stay fairly light, so Wednesday is looking pretty good. As we go into Wednesday night, southerly winds kind of return. We could get a couple random showers. We have a warm front lifting through, a couple random showers, maybe a quick little thunderstorm as we go into Thursday morning. This isn't going to affect a lot of us, but there are going to be a few random ones out there, and then should be pretty much gone once we get to the noon hour on Thursday. By Thursday afternoon, any thunderstorms will mainly stay to our north, but on the south side of this warm front, we see a big warm up. Most of us 79, 80, 81 degrees for afternoon highs on Thursday. Thunderstorms to our north Thursday night into Friday morning. So just a few showers Thursday morning. 48 to start on Wednesday. 67 by noon. I think most of us 74 or 75 for a high tomorrow. Heading into the weekend, so this is going to be late Saturday night into Sunday. We're kind of right on the cusp of some strong, maybe low-grade severe storms, but by far it looks like the majority of them will stay off to our east. So let's go into Friday. Few showers kind of rotating just south of us. And then Saturday we heat back up. We go near 80 once again for afternoon highs. Here's our front out toward Wichita, but our whole atmosphere is really just not conducive for thunderstorms. We have a big cap in place, so they're going to have a hard time getting going. Once we get after midnight, some scattered showers and thunderstorms will try to develop, but it doesn't look like a huge deal right now. And then it looks like showers and thunderstorms to start the day on Sunday, and then scattered to strong severe thunderstorms kind of get going off to our east. All right, let's go 74 tomorrow, 80 on Thursday, 73 Friday, 81 on Saturday. So staying warm and mild, 66 on Sunday. Now, some morning thunderstorms, quite a bit cooler Monday, Tuesday, chance for showers again by next Wednesday.
Loving those temps for the most part, and showers in spring. Well,
yeah.
It's the 4 days.
Overall, looks pretty good.
You bet. Thanks, Doug. Coming up, a study of America's aviation system and the reason for concern. Topping today's Consumer Watch, the nation's infrastructure report card is out, and it highlights a need for major improvements. A report looks at 18 different segments of infrastructure, including the nation's aviation system, which earned a D+. The low marks follow January's deadly mid-air collision in Washington. And as Chris Van Cleve shows us, families of the 67 killed are demanding changes.
It's so much loss. It's so much unnecessary loss.
Rachel Ferris feels like she has to be a voice for those silenced in January's mid-air collision over Washington, D.C.
I want people to remember that all 67 souls on board were precious. They were beautiful. This isn't just an accident that we move on from.
Among them, her cousin Peter Livingston, his wife, and their 2 young daughters.
They won't get married. They won't have babies of their own. And they deserved that. They deserved that.
She wants lawmakers and the FAA to take action now to make flying safer. The newly released infrastructure report card gave the U.S. aviation system a D+, unchanged from 4 years ago, due in part to the slow pace of modernization and a funding gap of $114 billion over the next 10 years.
While we have made progress, there certainly are warning signs, and that tell us that we need to further invest.
Transportation Secretary Sean Duffy is now calling for rapid updates to the country's aging air traffic control system.
Does it upset you that it takes people dying to get attention to make a change?
Somebody called it a tombstone mentality. Every regulation is written in blood, and that's not the way we should be doing things. I think that's outrageous.
Overall, the nation's infrastructure earned a C. 8 of the 18 segments showed improvement. The authors credit the billions of dollars spent through the infrastructure bill for that. The areas that underperformed tend to have large gaps in funding needs and also need to build towards better resiliency against severe weather. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Dallas.
The report also shows that the nation's ports and railways scored the highest, while the roads and dams are among the poor performers. A final check of the forecast up next. Tonight at 6, health officials confirm cases of measles in northeastern Oklahoma, plus a closer look at the potential impact of that proposed tax hike for the Jasper Fire Protection District. And a Frontenac softball star signs her letter of intent to continue her career at the next level. Stay with us. CBS Evening News, KOAM News at 6. Another nice day ahead of us, Doug.
Yeah, it looks pretty good as we go into Wednesday. 74, partly sunny skies, all the way up to 80 by Thursday.
We'll take it for sure. Thanks for joining us. The CBS Evening News is next. And of course, we're going to be right back here for KOAM News at 6. See you then. Let's make it a great evening.